Yo, what up? I'm Kai, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I heard about you, what was it, a month ago? And I was like, okay, we got to set this up. This is good. I can't stop listening to the tracks. And then you just released With You, and another great track that you released. Tell me about that track that is pretty hot right now.
This track is about like wanting to know what it's like to be in someone else's shoes and like really wanting to get to connect with someone on a deeper level.
Right.
And I wrote it this summer in my bedroom with my producer. It was like it was kind of a lull in our like writing process. We were trying to make this album, feeling kind of pressured. Like now it's like real. Like this is what we're doing, and this one just like came out of nowhere and kind of inspired the rest of the album.
Yeah. Now you've had previous records out already. So what made this one so different compared to your work in the past?
Well, this one was the first real single off our upcoming album, Pink Street Paradise.
Right.
Me and my producer made LA Life earlier, which was about my switch from Boston to LA.
Right.
And prior to that single, all my other releases were produced by me and just like totally written by me. So these were the first two songs with like working with someone else. Yeah.
And how do you like that experience of going into the studio and collaborating on a writing session?
At first I was a little thrown off, like I didn't know, because I was so used to just doing everything, like everything came from me, but it's definitely elevated my music, made it much better, and it's more fun to be able to like bounce ideas off of someone and like collaborate like that. So
now the thing I like about your music is that there's always this like jazzy undertone throughout each track, and then the steel drum just adds so much more to that, something that you also play live. So tell me about the reason behind the jazz undertone and the steel drums. Why did you want that to be part of your music? Why did you want that to be Kai?
It kind of just became Kai because in high school, 8th grade through like about senior year, I was actually in jazz bands and playing jazz. I went to New England Conservatory. It was a music prep program, which was called Jazz Lab, and it was every Saturday. It was like an extra Saturday school for music, and I would just go and like study music theory and like play in some jazz quartets, and so jazz was always like a big part of like who I was musically. And then I heard the steel drum at my dad's birthday party, his 50th birthday party, just like from my room. I was like, what is that sound? So I like ran down, I checked it out, and then there's this guy there. His name was PJ Adamson, and he was like playing the steel drums, and I was like, wow,
That just started sounding.
that's dope. And I went and talked to him, and he taught me some scales, and then I started taking lessons with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be, that's like equivalent to a guitar in like a band. Like that's part of who your music is all about. And it sounds like you have it on almost every track, right?
Yeah, in this new album, I think I found a good balance where it's not too in your face, but it's definitely like taking the sound to a different like new dimension that other people don't really have, because it's not really a very played instrument. So, but I think I found a good balance of not giving you too much, but keeping it pretty chill too.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you create your music, when you're in the studio, for example, this upcoming album, how does that process work out for you? Do you go in with your writer or co-writers and then sit down and start writing? Do you come in with stuff already written and then they step in? How does that work out?
So this album, actually, me and my producer wrote like completely just us two. Our process, it kind of varies. Sometimes I'll come up with like a little idea on piano and be like, yo, let's make this to a beat, and then I'll start thinking of ideas, or I'll come in with a melody and we'll put it to a beat, or he'll come with the main thing that happens is we'll kind of just start together. Like he'll make a beat and I'll just like write a chorus while he's making the beat, and then we'll lay down the chorus, and then I'll write the verses after, and he'll touch up the beat, and like, yeah.
It's all polished and ready to go. So I was watching the track listing for this upcoming record. There's a couple features that were on your previous projects. I'm assuming that's just people you like to collaborate. And then there's also a hot one with Wiz on the track Easy. Tell me how that came about, being that you're kind of a new artist and you're already getting attention from major names like Wiz Khalifa, let alone recording a track with him.
So that one it kind of came out of the blue. My manager heard the song and said he was gonna go up and hang out with Wiz in the studio, like that week. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'm just gonna play it for him, see what's up. Right. So he played it for him, and then the next day, he sent us a track with Wiz on it, which was really incredible. So it's insane that he's like been such a big supporter of our movement, but it's really dope. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your movement. Now that you mentioned that, what is your music all about? What is the definition behind Kai?
It's all my sound and my whole like persona. I want to be able to make people happy and just also like bring energy and happiness to like people's lives who need it. And like I feel like life can get pretty like dreary and like sad and like just like hard, and I think alleviating that is something I want to do.
Now you had your jazz training, but what about singing? Did you have any vocal training, or is that just stuff that you're picking up as you know a new track develops?
Yeah. So I was always kind of shy growing up, and I was always scared of singing. And also like writing too. I was always a math guy, and I had ADD. I still have ADD, but it was always hard for me to like write. So I think it took a while for me to like get into writing music and then singing and rapping, but I think it's something I always wanted to do. I was just scared to. And then about junior year, I just started rapping. I just wrote something and rapped it, laid it down, put it out, and like people responded to it. And like I'd been putting other beats out before that, and like people weren't responding as much, but once I put like my voice out there, like people started responding. So I was like, okay,
that was the key factor.
It gave me some confidence. And then so I just started singing lessons about like a year ago, so I'm working on it now. But yeah.
And then right now it's like you're in the perfect spot to be creating your music. I don't know how you do it being in college, let alone somewhere like USC. But how are you able to organize your day with finals and exams and whatnot, and then working on your music in the studio, or like, you know, going out on tour, performing? How does that all really balance out for you?
So freshman year, I was struggling a lot with this, and I mean, I've been struggling my whole life because it's always been like music in school. At one point it was music, school, and tennis, because I played pretty high level tennis in like high school, but I was always balancing school and music and like trying to figure out how much time I should put into each. So I've had a lot of practice with that. But actually this year I'm on a hiatus from school because we're going on tour, like a couple tours, and I won't be able to like be in like here because I'll be on the road. So I'm planning on coming back in the fall, but we'll see how everything turns out.
So tell me about these tours that are coming up. You have one later this fall. November is when it kicks off. And then you're leaving this weekend, actually, for a festival in Arizona. Tell me about those that are coming up, and what are you most excited about these?
Well, starting this weekend, this is my first big festival, and Chance the Rapper, Major Lazer, The Killers, The Roots, like all these incredible bands are gonna be there, and like people I've like taken inspiration from, like in my own music, and being on like the same stage as them is really surreal and motivating too, and also a big confidence boost. And then these tours coming up, November 15th we go out to Canada, which is going to be really cool because I've never played a show in Canada. So we're going to do 5 dates there, and then we're going to drive around the East Coast and hit up like Chicago and Washington and Pittsburgh, and then Boston, the hometown. So yeah, I'm really excited.
We got to add LA sometime soon.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
So when you go onto the stage and perform your tracks, do they change much compared to what we hear on the record?
Actually, well, yes, they do, because we just brought in a drummer. So that adds a whole new like.
So we have a live band like when you're live.
Yeah. So my producer, he's a keys player. So we have a piano player. I actually play steel drums live, and then we have a drummer. So that just it adds a lot of energy, and we also, like, the whole band is a bunch of musicians too. So that we add an extra layer on top of what's already there.
Sick, man. Now, lastly, to close us off, what makes Kai so different from any new artist out there?
Wow, that's a good one. I think that musically, I've been playing music my whole life, and I've played a lot of different genres. Yeah. So I started on classical music, on piano. And then I moved to jazz and rock and funk, and then hip hop and pop. And I think my music now is becoming like a culmination of all those genres. So I think that's something that is pretty different than most other musicians right now, because a lot of people tend to stick to their own genre, and I think that ours is like me and my producer's genre. The Kai genre is a different style in that it's just a bunch of genres put together.
Sick, man. Well, how soon can we expect the album Pink Tree Paradise?
You can expect some singles very soon, and we're aiming for early spring for the album.